Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Learn with Jason. Today on the show, we have Natalia. Natalia, how are you? Thanks so much for joining us.
I'm doing great. I'm just, not ready for the winter that's coming, and but doing really good. How are you, Jason?
I'm doing great. I'm having a little bit of a frantic morning. I just realized as we were getting on that I hadn't installed some of the stuff, so I was scrambling to get that to work, which is why we're starting a couple minutes late today. But I am really thrilled about what we're gonna do today. I think it's gonna be amazing. But before we talk about what we're gonna do, let's talk a little bit about you. For folks who
Okay,
aren't familiar with your work, do you want to give us a bit of a background on yourself?
sure. So basically, my background is in design, but that was quite a while ago. I think it was about 15 years ago that I moved or transitioned from being a graphic designer to being a web designer and then a developer. And then I've been doing mostly front end, or for the greatest part of my career, I've been doing front end, and then also a lot of technical lead and kind of, I don't like the term full stack, but going from one side to the other of the stack. And for, I think, the past 4 years, I've been in the role of solutions architect and software architect. And now I'm doing this with MongoDB. So this is why I'm here. I want to talk to everyone and tell the folks how they can better work with MongoDB and get the most out of it.
Yeah, and so this is, I think what's exciting about this is we're talking about MongoDB, but we're talking about MongoDB in a context that I think is somewhat new, right? Which is how do you use MongoDB in a serverless environment? Um,
That's right. That's right. And I think this is one of the misconceptions. And it's not a misconception, but it's a lack of understanding or perhaps of knowledge because MongoDB has grown so much and it has evolved so much and changed and
mhm.
adapted to the development needs. And that right now is not only a database base, it's a data platform, right? And so in the cloud, with all it allows,
Mhm.
we are offering a really good development environment for people to create and to yeah to do amazing things.
I'm
Yeah.
really excited about this because I'm going to be honest with you. I have not used MongoDB in a very long time. The
Wow.
last time that I used Mongo, I think it was just a database. It was kind of document storage, and that was oh geez, it had to have been five five plus years ago that I used it.
Okay.
So I'm really excited to see the progress and how far it's come. And I'm also excited to see, one of the things that I think is exciting is the way that databases are evolving right now is in such a way that it feels a lot less like we as front end developers need to learn how to become DBAs or full stack developers or back end experts to create and use databases. It feels much more approachable in today's world to build really complex
Absolutely.
apps.
Absolutely. I think as a person myself who's come from design, just imagine something completely different to being a developer. I think one of the things that I was scared the most about were databases because
Mm,
you think about this as a, I don't know, point of failure, as a security flaw, perhaps as something, if you do wrong, you are going to probably degrade performance in an impactful way. And yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. What the cloud and these serverless environments allow us to do is to work with databases in a way that it doesn't feel really magical. You know what's going on, but at the same time, it's not a burden, right? It's not
like
something that yeah.
you just listed off all the things that you could worry go wrong, and I first of all, how dare you go through my list of secret fears? But but I mean, you're absolutely right. Like I think that as a front end developer, I feel really confident shipping to the web because if I ship a broken piece of HTML or I have a small JavaScript error, I'm fine. We can recover from that. It's easy. If I ship a bad database query, I'm like, wait, but I could delete the whole database, right? And
Exactly.
I've done that before. So, so I'm
and
very
back in the day,
excited.
yeah. Back in the day, it was super difficult to recover a database as well, which is not the case right now.
Exactly. I mean, and part of it, is I think that the tools mature and they get better and they get less intimidating. I think that even now, for somebody who wanted to like set up and manage Kubernetes, it's not as daunting as it may have been, 5 years ago to work with containers and massive scale and stuff. It's much more approachable, but it is a whole area of expertise. And I think databases are kind of the same thing. It's this whole area of expertise. And a lot of times I want a database, not because I'm building Twitter and because I need to handle billions of records and global scale and all of this stuff, but I have an idea for an app. And for my app, I want people to be able to submit data and share it to other people. And I want that to persist between page loads. And that's what I want for my app. And so I don't need to be a database architect. I don't need to know exactly what the best thing is. I just want to be able to click a button and say, can I put some data here? And the database high-fives me and says, yeah, absolutely. And what I love is that it feels like tools are starting to, that's the default. You start there and then you can customize as your needs become more intense.
Exactly. That's exactly the point. And particularly with document databases, I think it's worth it if we highlight the difference between a relational database and a document database. So a relational database is mostly tabular. It consists of tables that are related by what is known as a foreign key. So you can make relationships between data. And the document databases, they basically store all data that is related in a single document. Of course, and this is one thing that most people don't know, you can also create relationships in a document database.
Right.
It wasn't designed for this use, but obviously there are use cases that require that you create this kind of relationships. And then these modern databases or general purpose databases like MongoDB allow you to do that as well. But the whole concept, because it's basically JSON, and JSON is what we as front-end developers are so used to work with, right? It's what we get from any response to a request to an API, and we are very familiar with it, and we know how to parse it and how to iterate it. So for us, it's very natural to work with this kind of data. But as you said, it requires the expertise to create the right queries, to use the MQL, which is the Mongo query language, and also the aggregation framework that we're going to take a look at today.
Great. Okay. Well, I know we've got a lot to cover, so I want to make sure we get into the code and don't run out of time. So I'm going to switch over. While I'm doing that, I'm also going to do a quick shout out to Salma, to Ben, TwitchCoder7. Thank you all for coming in and hanging out today. Good to see you in the chat. I am thrilled to have you here. Let's talk a little bit about our live captioning. This show, like every show, is live captioned. We've got Rachel here from White Coat Captioning taking notes and writing everything down as we say it, which I very much appreciate. And that is made possible through the support of our sponsors. Netlify, Fauna, and Auth0 are all kicking in to make this show more accessible to more people. You can find those right on the homepage. We are talking today to Natalia, who is Amphibia. Is that right? Creative?
Yeah, Creativa, yes. Yeah, that's right. You got it there. Yeah.
Sorry, these are the questions I should ask before we're live, right?
It's fine.
So make sure you go and give her a follow. And now we are going to be talking about MongoDB.
Yes, and maybe you want to go to cloud.mongodb.com.
Aha. All right, here we go.
Right.
We're at MongoDB on the cloud.
And we want to try it free. So you have that button over there. Yeah.
There we go.
And now you are going to have to create an account. You have that form on your right side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sign up. Here we go. Yeah, we'll link my accounts. Oh, I apparently have a MongoDB account. Give me just 1 second to pull this off screen so that I can figure out what I've done here.
Yeah, let's keep secure.
Make sure I don't like have some kind of production data in here that I need to worry about.
Sure. No, and you may have to do this a couple of times if we get keys. Let's see how far we go with this.
Oh, you know what this is? I was so prepared. You told me before that I think this is it, right? That I should set up this account.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
That's great.
For the first time ever, I'm prepared for something.
Well, that's wonderful because we are saving time. And what I just want everybody to know, this is a free cluster. This is a sandbox, what we call it. And you have loaded the sample data. That's fine. We can show folks how it's done so they can play with data as well. But this is free and this is free forever. And this is one of the amazing things about MongoDB in the cloud, that you don't have to, like Netlify, you don't have to pay for anything if you are going to be playing around and learning how to do things. It's not necessary to pay or set a payment method. So if you go back,
I was just going to say, this is such a great, like, I love that we seem to have kind of converged on this as an industry, that learning is not something that you should have to pay to do. You should be able to get in and try things and figure out how they work. And then when it reaches the point that you are using it professionally, that's when you flip on the credit card and the company services and the things that you pay for. So it should be
absolutely,
you get value out of the tool, and the tool takes a percentage of that, right? If you're making no money, if you're learning, if you're just putting up a side project, then it doesn't make sense to pay for that in most cases.
Absolutely. And also, when you have the chance to learn a technology, you become an advocate for that technology.
Sure.
How can you want to use something you don't know how to use? So like, I totally agree with you. And so if you go back to Atlas, like on the top, you see that we have this overview of our database deployments. In this case, you only have one cluster. And what you did, and this is why you have data, is if you go to this like three dots, like ellipses kind of thing there, it says load sample data. And this is why you have some collections and some documents in your database. But what we're going to do is we are going to use the Mongo shell that you already installed as well to import a sample data that I created specifically for this case. And the interesting thing is that there is a tool when you are working with a database and you want to mock your own data. MongoDB also has a tool that allows you to do this. You just create a schema, and then you use this tool called Mongo Generate that we're not going to use right now because I already generated the JSON files, that allows you to create data or mock data as you need it, right? Okay. Because one thing is giving you some sample data that you can play with. Another thing is you are building a front end and you kind of need some representation of what you're going to render. Right?
Sure.
And so if you go to the repo that I sent you the link for.
Yes, that is in here. Just have to find the link. Give me just a moment.
Sure.
It's the tattoo app, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I'm going to make this one public, but after I check it, because I always like to check that there are no also things that shouldn't be there. So if you go to, let me see, there should be a folder. Can you scroll a little bit? Schema. So database exports. Yeah, that's it. So like we mentioned before, MongoDB when you're working with MongoDB, you're essentially working with JSON. But how the database stores data is in a format called BSON. And it stores it in this way because BSON has a lot more types than JSON, right?
Got
So
it.
if
Okay.
you want, okay. So because we can work with JSON or BSON, there are different ways you can import data into your database. If it's JSON, it's going to be Mongo import. And if you want to export data out of your database, it's going to be Mongo export, right?
Okay.
And so there are also in these, these commands.md, I already wrote for you the commands that we're going to use to import this data into our database. And let's take a look at what this command says. So it's Mongo import, and it passes a URL that we are going to get from the cluster. This is our command string or connection string. I apologize. If you ever hear people say, oh, I need my connection string for MongoDB, it's what it is. Then it also establishes what is the database name, in this case, Tattoo Network. If it doesn't find it, it's going to create it.
Okay.
Also the collection, if it doesn't find it, it's going to create it. And then we tell it it's JSON, because it could be CSV, for example, any other kind of comma separated format. And then the file. So just copy the second one. And if you go to this, if you cloned this folder or download it.
Yeah, let's get it now. It is, so we'll start here.
Oh, that's nice.
Hey, thank you, Wally, for the sub. Let's it's Atlas Tattoo app. Here we go. And then, should I run an npm install?
Not yet, because this is the Angular application, but I think we can go there later. Let's set up the database first. Okay. So, but if you go into this folder in your terminal, if you go to the export,
it's right here. I see it.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to run this command exactly with this file. Is that? Got it.
Okay, so let's get into the tattoo, and we can see here's our files. So now I can go take this command.
Yeah, but don't
now
execute
this command
it.
Isn't going to work yet because we need to build an actual.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is go back to the cluster.
Back to the cluster.
Yeah.
Here.
We are going to click on connect.
Okay.
And.
This seems right.
Yeah. So this gives you all the possibilities. You can connect with the shell. You can connect with Compass, which is the GUI for MongoDB, and you can connect. What is the other option that you have?
Let me. How do I go back? Here we go. Connect, shell, and then Compass.
Yeah, or from the application, right? So if you have a driver between your application and MongoDB, which is necessary for both processes to talk to each other, then you can also get this. Now, because you already had an account, what I'm not sure you do have is network and database access. So before you even copy this, we are going to make sure you have a user, and we're going to make sure that you have restricted the access to your IP, which is a best practice. Okay. So just close this pop-up and go to database access. That's on the left. That's right, under security. You have a user. I don't know if you remember the password. If you don't, maybe you want to, take this out of screen.
Maybe we try this one again. All right, let me set up another one. Okay, so we'll use a password and the username. All right, let's do this. And then for the password, I will.
Don't say it.
Got it. And then we can go. All right, so it didn't show it. So I can put these in. So I've got
Exactly.
password authentication,
Okay. So
built-in role.
yeah. So MongoDB's databases um, are back. Or the authorization methods are back based, which means role based, and the system gives you some roles that are inbuilt, but you can also create your custom ones. In this case, we're just going to use this: read and write to any database. So you're going to be the database administrator.
Right. So we
And
could add some extra stuff.
yeah, we could create a custom role. We could restrict the access to a specific cluster or even data lake. We could create a temporary user. If we have a friend, we want them to, work with us. And then later these credentials are eliminated from the system. But
Got it.
that's enough. And you can add the user.
Okay.
And another thing we want to do is go to network access. That's the other. And you are allowing right now access from anywhere. We don't want to do this. So just delete this or edit.
Okay.
And let's say add IP address and add current IP address.
Okay.
And confirm. And this is going to make sure that nobody else but you or somebody sharing your same IP address can access the database.
Okay. All right. I'll make sure my partner doesn't know that she can hack my database right now.
Yeah, that's always a good sign. So yes, it should be quick.
Okay.
I don't know what's pending, but let's
and so
go
then
back maybe.
When we go back to here,
yes,
and we hit connect.
Exactly.
Right. And then I can put in this shell.
That's already your connection string. Yeah, you can copy it.
So I drop this in here, but then I need to add my username at the end.
Exactly.
Was it username?
No. You don't need to.
I don't need to do
this.
that.
No. It's going to ask you. Right now.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can just run this?
Or you can. Let's do this. Let's connect to the cluster. No, let's just go ahead with this. It will ask you for the password.
Okay,
so the username and password.
So I'm shipping this command?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it
fails, why? What have I done?
Not found Mongo import.
Because I have.
Okay, can you run Mongo to see what happens?
Well, I have Mongo shell.
Connecting.
Do I need something else?
This is connect now. Now you're connected to your local host. So that exit, because we don't want to be in the local host. Connect refused. It doesn't even like your local host.
Maybe I had something running. I might have had something running locally. How do I? Do I need to log out or something?
Yeah, just open a new. Just open a new tab in your terminal. Okay. Let's try to connect to the cluster without doing the Mongo import. So go and copy the connection string just as it is right now. No. From the connect.
This is the one from the.
Yeah, and I think it has a little bit more to it. So you have to pass the username in this case.
Okay. And do I want to? All right, let's just fail.
Just pass.
Try again, and I'm going to set my username here, just like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And now it's asking you for the password.
Connecting to. Okay, so now it says I'm connected.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait. Oh no, this is right. So now I just exit?
No, don't exit. Execute the Mongo import right now.
Run.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So I think I was in the wrong place here. So let me get my actual connection string, which is this one. Okay.
Me as well on my end.
Okay, I think I've done something wrong. I like this looks like a MongoDB like query shell, right?
Yeah, just exit this again,
Like
because you shouldn't have to be connected because you're passing already the connection string. So this is what is going to prompt you to pass the username and password. Let's see right now. Just hit enter.
so it doesn't like it something is up with this Mongo import command. I never installed that. I only installed
Can,
Mongo shell.
can you try instead of can you tell me again the version? Okay, these things happen fault. So real life.
So this is 1.1.6.
Okay, just let me see, where am I? Mongo shell version. Yeah, because you downloaded, okay. It may be because you're in a very, very old version of Mongo.
The worst bird is saying for Mongo import, I need Mongo tools, which I did not install.
Okay, yes, that's right. I thought this because I never do this with the zip, and I kind of got, yeah, you're going to need more stuff to make this work.
Okay.
And it's a shame we cannot do it with the.
My brew command has like fully. Something is wrong with my computer, and it like will not run brew right now, which is super fun. So I have to figure out what happened there. But in the meantime, we're gonna have to figure out how to install this from.
Don't worry. We're going to. Yes, you need to have. So you need to have. So you have the server, but you also need the tools, right?
I think so.
Mongo import tool is part of the MongoDB database tools package. And you are going to have to download it as well, installing the database tools on Mac OS. So MongoDB 4.2 tools.
Here's the tools. I'm on this Mac OS. So I will download and then we'll go back here and figure out how to do all of this stuff. So we're gonna go to.
We wanted to be ready, but we couldn't make it.
This is my fault for I should have tested that brew was gonna work. Like you could. Who breaks brew? Apparently I do. So let's go. I'm gonna unzip this. And then we're going to move into the downloads folder. And what was it called? MongoDB database tools.
Exactly.
Okay. And then what else do I need to do here? I need to copy them.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, no, here. Right? So I need to copy the whole bin folder, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so let's copy. And then we'll source my Z shell. And theoretically speaking, that gives us. Where was my. Oh, here it is. Okay. This is better.
Yeah, that looks. Authentication failed. Okay, so that's probably
a Scram SHA-1. So is this like I need my like that?
Yeah. Enter password. Exactly.
Ta-da! Okay. All right. So we got through me being woefully unprepared for doing that, and now theoretically speaking, we should have in our collections artists.
Exactly. Well, you should have a database called exactly, and now you have artists. And can you click on it? You have 1,000 documents. The document size, everything is like there.
Oh, this is great. Okay, so this is great.
And
Okay, so now we can do the same thing
with the other one. Yeah.
Okay, so
now you probably don't need to connect. You're already connected. Let's see.
Okay, let's see if it'll work. I'm going to go to opinions. Now it looks like I'm going to have to do it each time.
Oh, okay.
Something I've done has gotten this weird, and I'm just going to,
Key collection.
Oh, wait, did I do the crap? I tried to import artists twice.
Okay. So now you probably have, because right. Because this is data that I have generated, like a mock data, and the ID is already generated, this object ID. And this ID obviously cannot be repeated. Mm-hmm. It's something that is unique. And if you try to override it, it's going to tell you, hey, maybe you don't want to do this, right? It's a duplicate key. So did you get the opinions?
I thought I did, but it's not.
What does it say?
Let's browse collections. Tattoo network. Here is the tattoo network.
Can you try again with the opinions one?
Yeah, let's try it again. Okay, so I'm just going to double check before I... So here's our connection string. We're going into tattoo network. We've got a collection called...
A collection has to be... Dang it. Yeah, now we have a super huge artist collection.
Okay,
You're gonna have...
I should probably go delete that, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So now you have the... you have 6,009 documents now in your artist collection.
Okay.
You can delete it here from Atlas, or you can delete it from the command line.
Let's delete it from here to make sure. Here it is. There's a trash button.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I will go back to here, and we're going to... Here's the cluster, artists. And that should, theoretically speaking, now we have our artists and our opinions. And there they are. Okay, and I imported them all to the right place. 1,000 documents here, 5,009 here.
Okay, so when people talk to us, usually as people that work at MongoDB, about their implementations and how they are on monolithic applications and they want to decouple and how can MongoDB help them, right? Usually the idea is that if you are splitting into microfrontends, every microfrontend is an application and it has a team and they own the architecture and they own the tech stack. And in some cases, they also say that a database that maps to this team and application makes sense, and it does, right? But not all the time, right? Not all the time it makes sense to have one database per application.
Mm.
And because that would suppose that you have to duplicate data over and over and over. And although duplicating data is not necessarily a bad thing, you have other ways in the cloud with MongoDB to separate concerns and separate data in a logical way that doesn't involve having multiple clusters or having data separated and then having to, break your head about how you're going to aggregate all this. And we are seeing this, right? We have a cluster and we have several logical databases separated, but we can work with them and we can aggregate the data coming from the different databases and collections, and then create different strings or users, or because any service that we may create can log into the database with a user that maps to or is governed by a role. And this is how we can have a centralized, in a sense, more manageable set of data that we can distribute, but in a smarter way than having, thousands of clusters all over the place that we cannot control. And
there's
Yeah.
There's a question that that just came in from Tyler. Uh, is there a way that you can guard against like putting the wrong data into the wrong place? Like if I wanted to, could I set up some kind of a guard that would check the artist table to make sure that if I was putting something that was an opinion into the artist table, it would be like, hey, that's not allowed. Like, is there like a schema check or something you can do?
Absolutely. There is a schema validation. We
Okay.
don't have one because we just created this collection
Mm-hmm.
and we are not enforcing a schema in this case. And this is why it allowed you to upload all these opinions to the artist collection. But if we created a schema and we enforced it
Mm-hmm.
with a JSON validation, it would have told you, no, this is not allowed for this
Got it.
collection.
No,
Yeah.
and that's great because and here's what I think is cool about this is the power of a document store versus a relational database is that when you're early and you're not 100% sure what your app is going to look like, having to redesign your whole database every time you make a change is really
Yes.
challenging. And being able to just have a completely unstructured document store where you're like, well, what if the data looked like this? Yeah, that works. And then you can just go full chaos mode. And then when you get it working, you add the schema validation, and then you add the extra guards and checks, which is I think a pretty, it's a pretty good experimentation model. It's a good iteration model that lets you start with, you're in this completely unstructured space, no idea what's going on, make things up, try things out, and as you hit a good stride and figure out what you want to do, then you start adding rules and then you start adding structure. And I think that is a distinct advantage of document stores, is that they kind of support that
Absolutely.
growth.
Absolutely. It allows you to go from zero to an MVP or a prototype that you want to maybe show to stakeholders. So,
Mm-hmm.
look what I'm doing. How do you feel about this? And then iterate, like you say, and make changes without having to work on ORMs, which are, yeah, a
Sure.
pain, and all these more strict kind of constraints, right?
Absolutely.
So what we want to do right now is we are working on a tattoo network, right, in our heads. Right. So we have artists that are part of this network,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have a collection that are opinions that people left for these tattoo artists. And what we have to think is that imagine a context where we have an application, and then maybe the artist profile is it's owned by a team, right? So this page or this whatever feature is owned by a team. The
Mm-hmm.
opinions may be owned by a different team that also works with marketing, that also, I don't know, maybe is distributing these comments and, I don't know, ratings to other parts of the platform.
Mm-hmm.
And what we are going to build also here is it's a search application. So I'm a customer, I'm registered to this platform. I want to search for an artist, and we know, I don't know you, Jason, but I worked on several search applications and they are really painful. And so MongoDB has come with this idea to help developers create applications or search applications in an easier way.
Okay.
And what we do is we are going to, in this case, MongoDB Atlas Search is built on top of Lucene. Lucene is an
Okay.
open source library owned by Apache or the Apache Foundation. It's open source. It's used by Solar and Elasticsearch as well, so it's very well known in the industry, and it's very powerful. And it has some differences with MongoDB, how it queries data that we're going to also take a look at. So what we want to do next, and like I mentioned before, I went and created a guideline on how I want to proceed with this. So what we want to do is we want to show how we can create an application on MongoDB side, this time, that is going to allow us to deploy serverless, a GraphQL server to query our data in MongoDB. So
Nice.
we're going
Okay.
to go. So we're going to go to this second tab that is called Realm. And Realm is actually a just click on build your own app. It's the first part, and then you can call it something else if you want. This is the data source. This is your cluster. This you cannot change because this
got
is
it.
But you can change the name of the application if you want. For example, tattoo app, you can call it, or whatever you want.
Oh.
Okay. You save it. The deployment model, you can leave it like this.
Okay.
And yeah, create your Realm application. And as you can see, you have all these possibilities, because what I wanted to say is that Realm was originally a mobile application, and it was acquired by MongoDB to help with mobile development and also conflict resolution. Because I think, in my opinion, the most amazing thing about Realm is the synchronization between devices and the conflict resolution. But we're not going to use that. We're going to use the GraphQL server.
Okay.
And we're going to use the webhooks, and we're going to use the functions in this case. So let me see what it says. Just close this, because I am not familiar with these changes to third-party services.
Okay, I get that. That's fine.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter to me because I haven't used it before.
Okay, so what we're going, it's great that we cannot see all your ID over there for the app ID. Don't expose it for now.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is we are going to go to rules, because the first thing we need to do to create a GraphQL server and an API is expose our data. So you see on the left sidebar, there is data access rules.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we are going to add a collection. We are going to select our database, the collection name.
Okay.
And then we're going to select the template. Users can read all data, but only write their own data.
That's slick. I love that just works.
Yeah.
Because this is the thing that I always have to configure, and I always have to look it up. So just having that pre-configured is huge. And
yeah, absolutely. And then let's call it, says each document. Let's enter tattoo artist.
Like that?
For this template, each document in your collection. Yeah, tattoo artist user. That's it. We're not going to be creating users, but this is,
do we want to do it this way, or like what's the convention?
No, there is really no set convention for this, but
no parents, no rules.
But we are also not going to be creating authentication design because it's too much.
Yeah, we are not going to have time for that today.
Yeah, but it's required. So we are going to add the collection.
Okay.
And have you seen that it says understanding, save, and deploy? Because everything you do here now is, until you don't save it and deploy it, it's not there. Right?
And that makes sense, because especially when you're working with data, if you auto-saved every piece, you would get like, I have to make 4 changes, and 3 of those changes would break my app because you're in like an in-between state. So I that totally makes sense that you kind of queue up all the changes you want to make, and then you actually deploy that.
Exactly.
Got it.
That's right.
Got it.
So
got it.
You got it. So we have now this owner and non-owner, and we could add another role, like add new role, or let me see. Yes.
New role here.
New role. So if you click there.
Okay, got it.
No, just let's not overcomplicate it. We just want to make sure that we can read from the database in this case.
The non-owner will be able to read, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you can. Yeah, exactly. Let me make sure that we have everything. And now what we want to do is we want to go to the schema, right? So we have rules, and then we have a schema, and we want to say generate schema. And just the artist collection very well. And so it's going to sample 500 documents in this case to make sure that it really creates a valid schema, that all your documents are more or less consistent. And so you can go ahead with it.
Okay.
Generate schema. And so it creates this schema. On top of this schema is that basically GraphQL is going to create its own schemas to allow for all these queries and mutations. But because this artist collection is very particular collection, we are going to come back here and edit it later. But right now, what we want to do is create a relationship as well. But for that, you're going to have to add the opinions collection first. So save this. You see the save button on top. Now you can go and add a new collection. MongoDB Atlas, there is a plus sign over there. No.
Here.
There.
Got
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Okay.
So now
and then we're going to tattoos, opinions.
Exactly, same template. Same user that we gave to the other one.
Okay.
Add collection.
Schema, generate.
Exactly.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. So I've saved these schemas.
So as you can see, the types are all BSON types. And this is what we mentioned earlier, that we are using BSON because JSON has a lot less possibilities.
And is this format here, is this like specific to MongoDB, or is this something that's used elsewhere?
This is MongoDB, right? So if you realize, it says like, okay, the properties for this data for the field ID, which is the identifier, is a BSON type object ID, which is basically
so BSON, like BSON is an open spec, and then this schema definition is unique to Mongo, built in BSON.
Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
You got it. So now we're going to and as you can see, we can validate even the schema. Like, so you have a button there that will allow you to validate, but this is if you, well, of course you have documents and you created the schema on top of those documents. But if you were to add a lot more documents and you want to make sure that they are valid, you could validate them here. And cool. Now we're going to go back to the artist collection. And we are going to create a relationship.
Okay.
Right? And so for this, I'm going to ask you to go to the repository and copy. There is a relationship folder. And yeah, so what we're telling here is there is a field that is called artist ID. And if we go and browse our collection, we're going to see that it's both in our artist document and in our opinion document. And this is what creates the relationship between the two. So for an artist that has an ID of 400, the opinion also has the artist ID of 400. And this is what makes them relate to each other.
Got it. Okay.
So it's what, and as you can see, it's called foreign key, which is exactly how it's called in the relational world.
Got it. Okay. So I've now saved this.
And now if you go back to the artist and regenerate the schema, it's going to look, I think, a bit different.
Sorry, you got to, do I just hit generate schema again?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, artist ID. Okay, can you then go to the opinions one? Maybe it was correctly generated. And this is something I got wrong myself. When we generate the schema,
Do we need to include both? Like, do I need to create a relationship here as well?
No. The
Okay.
relationship is only necessary from one to another because this is the equivalent of a left outer join,
Okay.
So it's from one table to another or from one collection to another in this case. It's okay because we have to make sure that our artist collection has yet another field. And perhaps where the difference is in the GraphQL schema, and I'm getting a bit confused because it's so much information that I may have something mixed in my head right now. But let's save this, let's deploy it.
Okay.
And yes, these things happen. I get confused all the time.
So we've got roles, we've got these, we've got properties.
Exactly, we have the schemas.
Here's our relationship.
Exactly.
Got it.
Everything
Okay.
looks good. And you see it's in the form of a div, right? So you have the red parts and the green parts if you remove something. And we can deploy it.
Okay. Deployment was successful.
Cool. And now if we go to GraphQL, and go to schema,
we can start digging around in here. So let's look at artists. I'm just using control space to kind of explore, which is one of my favorite things to do. So if I come in here, we can get, let's say, their name, and maybe we can get
the styles, for example.
Styles. Okay. And here we go. We've got a ton.
That's it.
That's great. That's great.
So we didn't have to do a lot, right? So you have all the queries there. And I think, yes, I the first time I generated this, I didn't create the relationship, right? So the schema in GraphQL was a bit different because there was no correlation between the two. And hence we didn't have the opinions one. All these fields that mention opinion were not there for the artist collection. You see over here. And yes, I really thought that it was also represented in the other schema, but it's not. It's only here in the GraphQL one.
Got it.
So you have the artists and you have the opinion, right? And the opinions, and you have a query, you have a mutation, and you have a query. Yes, only queries. So the mutations are below.
Opinions, and then we can get the client name and let's get the rating. And I will copy that out for a second so we can see the other one. So there's our opinions data. What was the other thing you wanted me to show?
No, that you also have, it's showing you the queries and the mutations as well for people that are unfamiliar with GraphQL. You can, for example, delete one artist. I don't know what it's asking you, probably the...
So we've got all of these, right? All that kind of stuff.
That we are not going to use anyway for the app right now, where we don't have any mutations implemented, but we do have some custom resolvers. So data in GraphQL resolves to a type, right? And what we want to do is create our own aggregations for this search application to work. What we are going to do right now is create some indexes, because when you have data in a database, the most or the smartest thing to do is to always create indexes. Indexes are like a set of information on the data, like metadata on the data that helps you find it easier. or in a more optimal way.
Mm-hmm.
The indexes in MongoDB are B tree, right? So you can have many nodes for these kind of trees, but the indexes in Lucene, which is the search engine that we're going to use underneath our search application, are inverted. So for that reason, the indexes that we're going to create are search indexes. It's a particular type of index, and we have to go back to Atlas in order to create that.
Okay.
So we are going to go to the collections, browse collections, the third one, yeah.
All right.
And then if you go up, there is a tab called Search Indexes.
Here?
That's right. Yeah. Just click there. And it says, well, we don't have one. The first one we're going to create is just a default index, in a default dynamic index that is going to index every possible type that it finds in the collection. So we don't have to change anything. We just go with next. We call it default. It's fine.
Okay.
And we go next. And it gives us some information. What is the analyzer, the search analyzer, the dynamic mapping? You're set. Okay.
Okay.
This takes a few moments. And the second index we want to create also for the artist collection, it's an autocomplete index, or an index that will help us run autocomplete. And we're going to call it names in this case.
Okay.
So we're also going to go there next. And in this case, we are going to use the JSON, view JSON over there. You see review names. Okay. So this is what helps us create indexes in a JSON format. If you go to the
repo?
Yeah, to the repo, sorry. And find search indexes. There is one that is autocomplete type. Yeah. And so as you can see, it's not dynamic because we don't want to index every field. We just want to index the field called name.
Oh, wait, how do I?
Yes, false. It's not allowing you?
Well, let me edit. Do I need to refine?
I think that you were just looking at it, but you were not editing with it. So what you can do? I think I might
need to go back to.
Yes, you need to go back and say all the way back. Yeah.
Back.
So
this one.
And yes, JSON edit.
Okay.
That's right. Okay. So now we can edit it. Yeah.
Okay, we've got
so
names.
it's not exactly. So names is the name of the index. The field is name. The max grams and min gram are properties that are associated with the autocomplete from 3 times you type until 10. It's going to be applying this autocomplete type. And we create the index.
Okay. So our default index is created. Names is getting underway here.
Exactly. And because I'm conscious of time, we are like 30 minutes away from the end.
We've got like 25 minutes of good dev time left in us.
I think that we are going to have to do a follow-up, Jason. because there is a lot to show. So we're going to quickly create also an index on the opinions collection.
Okay.
Because we will need it anyway. So you have the opinions index also in the repo.
Am I going to be able to do this? Because it looks like I'm...
You have 2 and the limit is 3. So you still have 1 to go. So browse collection, go to the opinions collection this time.
It
I
looks
think you are in the wrong collection right now. So you have to go back to collections. Look next to search, you have the collections tab.
here.
Yes.
And then we'll go to opinions.
Exactly. And now you go to search indexes.
So it's telling me that I have reached my limit here.
How is that possible if you only have two?
I'm not sure. Is there a way for me to view all of the
Yes,
search indexes?
Yes, if you go back to all the collections, like browse collections.
Browse collections.
Yes, and click on search. Collection search should show you all
we've got a movie search here, so I can. That was for the sample data, I think. So we can get rid of that one.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Okay. Now we go
confusing for a moment.
Back to our collection, and we'll go to here and to opinions and search indexes.
Yes.
Now we can create an index. All right.
All right. So JSON editor, and you can copy the opinion index,
which is this one here,
which is an index on the artist ID.
Got it. Okay, so let's go back in here. Do I need to rename this one?
These we're going to call opinions. Yeah.
Okay.
And this is one thing that it's important that you mentioned, because you need to remember those names. You probably will need to use them in your aggregations right now. So now we have the indexes. We can go back to GraphQL. Right.
Realm,
and yes, here. Go to the tattoo app.
GraphQL.
That's right. And we're going to want to... No, it's not yet going to work because we need to create the custom resolvers associated.
Custom resolvers.
Yeah. So we are going to add one. And so we're going to create 3 of them. The first one is for the autocomplete. And we're going to call it autocomplete resolver.
Okay.
Let me just make sure that we use all the same names, because this is sometimes it can mess you up when you write the queries if you don't have exactly the same names. So we want to make sure that we don't waste time. So autocomplete resolver. So we're going to call it autocomplete resolver. The parent type is query.
Okay.
We're going to create a function that is a serverless function, autocomplete resolver as well.
Okay.
The input type in this case is going to be scalar type.
Okay.
String, because what we want to get back for our autocomplete is the names.
Got it.
And the payload is the existing type list artist. Perfect.
Got it.
We save it, and we are going to write our first aggregation. In fact, we're not going to write it, we're going to copy it, but we're going to explain it.
Okay, so let's go back here, aggregation.
No, it's not this aggregation, it's the resolvers. There should be one folder called custom resolvers.
Here?
Yes, that's right. And all are autocomplete. That's right.
Okay.
So we are going to copy this and we're going to explain this. So as you can see, it's an export. It's doing an export of a function. Edit. No, this is a resolver, sorry. Go to functions. On the left sidebar, GraphQL, right below, exactly. So we have, let's go over this. We have a function that is passed a name, right? And we are also querying our context. And our context service is MongoDB Atlas for everything that is in Realm. And our database is Tattoo Network. Our collection is artists.
Okay.
And our and once we have this queried, we're going to aggregate. Like if you do this in the Mongo shell, you do it in exactly the same way. You have to query the database, the collection, and then pass the aggregate. And to the aggregate, we pass an array of selectors. In this case, composing an aggregation pipeline in the form of stages. And our first stage, it's the search selector. So this $search, it's a function, and it's going to be using the index names that we just created with an autocomplete for the path or field name, and it's going to query the parameter that we pass on top, which is name. It's going to also allow us to do fuzzy search, and fuzzy is when you type in the autocomplete and you mistype and it gets it fixed for you. This is what's called fuzzy, with a maximum edit of 1. So only one misspelling is going to correct for you.
Got it.
And then the next thing it does in the next stage is a project, because you get a lot of stuff back from the database. This collection has a lot of fields in the document, and you want to optimize. So you're saying like the ID, the underscore ID is always, it's like mandatory. It's always returned. You don't want it. So you are disabling it. You just want to get the name. When you do a project and you say, I don't want the ID, you have to enable any other field that you want. So you have to explicitly say what you want next.
Got it.
And
so to clarify what that means, we're doing a search, and then when you have a big collection of data, a term that I think is what we're using here is if you want to look at a subset of your data, you're creating like a projection of like a little bit of data, right? Am I using that word correctly?
No, you're actually searching the whole data, but because it's indexed, right? It's like, right, you already indexed this query, so it's going to be a lot more optimal than if you have an uncovered query, which is when you're querying data that is not indexed. Gotcha. So you have everything, you have all these names in your memory, basically, right? So it doesn't have to go all the way to the database and scan it and look for the right one. No, it's in the memory, and it knows already what it has to look for, which is the names field. And the project is what you get back, right? Gotcha. So you get only the name. You don't get the whole document. You don't get all the fields.
Gotcha.
And then you're limiting to 10 because, that's a way to do pagination. We're not going to implement the full pagination, but if you did, this is the way you do it.
Okay.
And so you can test it. So you go to the console, like the first over there. And instead of hello world, you can write, I think McDonald. It's one of the names in the database. Donald.
Like that?
Donald and MC Donald.
Okay.
Well, actually, you can query just Don, because we are doing an autocomplete. So you're right. And we're doing it from the third character. So just run, and you should get the results.
There we go. There's Donald McDonald. We've got, a whole set. And that was nice and fast.
Exactly.
This is great.
So we can save the draft and review and deploy.
Okay.
All right. And now, yes, I will want you to do a little thing to make sure that we don't have errors. Is go to the repo, to the repository in the
sorry. Yep.
So go to the top folder, to root, and you should see schema, and there should be one called special case. Just copy this, please. it's the artist, but we're also adding highlights.
Oh,
and highlights is when you get hits on a word, it returns a special object that tells you what is the value that you were looking for and where it found a hit.
Okay.
So copy this, because the query later includes this, and I don't want to get errors because it types so much. And we go back to GraphQL. To rules. I apologize. That data access rules. We go back to our artist collection, and for the schema, we paste this.
Like replace it?
Yeah, yes, and save it.
Okay.
And now we quickly go back to GraphQL.
Do I want to deploy this?
No, we can deploy it together maybe.
Okay.
We go back to GraphQL, custom resolver. We're going to create one more. It's going to be called All Artists Resolver with camel case.
Okay, and that's the one that we saw back here.
Mm-hmm.
And custom resolvers, all artist resolver.
So we have the input type that is a special one.
Okay.
Maybe you want to copy this.
I've got it.
The parent type is query. Then we create a function called the same. All artist resolver.
Okay.
And then we are going to add.
So I think I need this part first, right? The function.
By the way, I didn't realize you can paste it there. Yeah.
Okay, so there's our function. Here's our input type. And we're going to do a custom type, you said?
Exactly. We're going to add a custom type because we want to pass more than just a scalar type that is the default. So we want to pass all artist input, which is the term, the facets, the country, and the rating.
Got it.
Do an aggregation of all that and look for our guy. And this is artist.
Okay.
And we save it.
Saved.
And we can go actually to the GraphQL Explorer.
Do I need to deploy before?
Yeah. I think it will work anyway, but let's do it.
Okay, and so we should see here some changes now, where we've got.
Yes, you should see the schema has changed.
Yep, great. So there we go.
All right.
And now I'm going to go to Explore.
Yeah.
And
you can copy the query if you want, but it's all artist resolver. Yes. It's going to be expecting an input that is term, facets. Like in this case, the term is the full name. It's not going to do autocomplete for you. Anyway, it may find it, but let's put McDonald. And facets would be the styles, right? And it's an array of strings.
Okay. Let me copy this because I feel like there's going to be a lot of.
I think I'm not passing. I'm not passing either anything, but.
So you're doing. I'm just going to grab the one that you did, and we'll get that. So let's drop this one in. And we get all the Daniels. But
also, all the Daniels and the Daniels, right?
Yeah.
So it's running a full text search. And this is why it's returning everything that matches.
And now if I simplify this and I say we also only want to get trash polka, which I really want to know what that tattoo style looks like. If we had more time, I would be Googling that right now.
Yeah, so you see, you get all the trash polka, and you can Google it right now. And this is how you do all these amazing aggregations. I would like you to go because anyway, we are running out of time. So we are not going to be able to see the full app. But if you have time, any time, I'd love to come back and finish this.
Yeah, we will. We can talk about how to get this finished up. Is there like we've got about 5-ish more minutes to go if we want to try to get maybe a step further?
Yeah. Let's go ahead. I just want to really talk about 1 minute about the function that powers this, because
Yes.
this is the aggregation framework, right, from MongoDB. And so as you can say, we have again the search stage, right, the search selector, and we are passing a compound. And for the compound, we have the should and the must. And we say, okay, if we have a term, it must match to this term. And then again, if we have some, if you go below, you see that we are doing some logic down there, more. So if we have a term, let's push this into the compound should. Sorry. So it should match this term. And if it has facets, then it must match this. And should is not, or must is not as restrictive as should, right? So it may or may not, but it should.
So, okay, so that's actually a question that came in is when we added trash polka as a facet, we started seeing people whose name didn't match Daniel's, but their style did match trash polka. So it is the way that this is set up, the must, it pulled
exactly.
in. So the must pulled in everything that was trash polka, and the should says, if it matches, highlight that.
Exactly.
If it doesn't, that's okay. Still show results that match the rest of the search.
Exactly.
Got it.
Got it. That's correct. And then we have also the country, which is also in a must be the country. And this is basically it. We're also doing a projection in this case. So we guarantee that we're not getting more data than we need back from the database in this case.
Cool.
And there was one last custom resolver. I don't know how you want to proceed, because actually if we don't have all of this probably in place, the application won't compile.
Let's go fast then. So I'll put in a custom resolver. This is the all opinions resolver.
Correct.
And so I'm going to copy this. We're going to run over and do a, how do I get back out? What have I done? Oh, I have a collapser. All right. So let's go to our GraphQL custom resolvers. This one is going to be called, it said all opinions resolver. That is going to be a new function that is also all opinions resolver.
That's right.
It has this content. And so this looks fairly familiar. We're doing a search. We're doing a projection. Good.
Exactly.
The input type is?
The input type is ID. A scalar type. So scalar type.
Okay.
Not list. Yes. ID. Yeah. Integer. Sorry.
Oh, integer.
It's going to be the ID of the artist, right? So, and it's going to return opinions.
Got it.
Yeah. Changes could not be saved.
You must select a parent type. That's my bad. Okay. Saving.
Oh, okay.
All right. And then do I need to add other things for this to work?
I am looking at it. If it may compile now. Let's try it. Go to the app. The thing is, you're going to have to install it, right? Because it's an Angular application. Maybe it takes a bit. Maybe we should have done this before.
What happened?
Package JSON.
Oh, there's no package JSON.
How can this? No, what? Okay, let me see if I can push it right now. That's weird. There is not?
I don't see one.
Packet JSON, I do see it. However,
It must be ignored or something.
strange. It doesn't look like it is. But
Is it like inside a folder? Do I need to go in Angular Tattoo app? I need to go into the app, don't I? So
okay.
I
You were
was at
not.
the top
Oh,
level.
all right. Okay, sorry. I didn't realize. I was like, okay, it's weird. I see it.
Okay, so I'm in the app now, and we're running an install,
Yeah.
and I have pretty fast internet, so hopefully this will happen quickly. Let's see, we're in a race against time here. How about this? While we're waiting for this to install, where should people go if they want to learn more about MongoDB?
Okay. There are several places. They should always, and I always say this, go to the official documentation, mongodb.com documentation, right? So resources, documentation. Always go to the official documentation. You can always also go to the MongoDB University, which is free as well, and it has tons of courses that even give you a nice certificate. You just sign up and you choose your path. You want to be a developer, you want to be a DBA, you can choose your path, and it's going to teach you a lot of things. And you can even certify later if you so wish.
Great.
To take the exam.
Okay, so this looks like it.
It's good.
Let's try it.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, there are some things that you're gonna have to set up first, and cannot do it from the. Yeah. So let's do this. You have to go to the app in Realm and copy the ID. Do you remember I told you do not expose this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you're going to have to replace it in the GraphQL, Apollo GraphQL module.
And that is going to be an app.
App, that's right.
GraphQL module, your app ID. So I don't want to expose this?
Yeah, maybe you don't want to expose this.
Okay, that's okay. And then I'm going to copy out from GraphQL. It looks like I also need the
URL, which is there. You see HTTPS,
yep.
blah, blah, blah.
Let me make this bigger so I can actually copy it. There we go. All right. So I am saving both of those things. I'm going to bring this back over now that I'm hidden. So I've got my API, and then the next line up is the key there. So I'm going to close that. Let's stop, recompile, and we've got 4 minutes. So while we're waiting for this to recompile,
run.
I am going to do a couple things here. Let's first do a shout out to our live captioning. We have had Rachel here all day from White Coat Captioning, doing the captioning for us. Thank you very much, Rachel. And that is made possible through the support of our sponsors. We've got Netlify, Fauna, and Auth0 all kicking in to make this show more accessible. And if you enjoyed the show today, you can always find the schedule, which, oh no, I never built that, like, you've changed the window size thing. So you can go find the schedule. We've got a ton of great content coming up. We're going to do passwordless auth. We're going to do a UI, UX diagnosis and rebuild, which is going to be really, really fun. We've got N8N automation, which is going to be amazing. We've got Ben Holmes, who I think might be in the chat today, is going to teach us about Slinkity, which is kind of islands architecture, and a whole lot more. Wow. So make sure you go hit that add on Google Calendar and follow me on Twitch so that you see all of those episodes as they happen. Okay, so we're compiled successfully, and that means theoretically, when I open this, we have tattoos. Fingers crossed, everybody.
Oh, I don't see anything. Now I'm nervous.
That's like did it? Oh, it immediately failed. What? We're missing something. Refresh custom data.
Okay, refresh custom data. is a method of the Apollo GraphQL thing, because what it does is it uses your there is an ID and there is something missing. I know what it is. Okay, so what we didn't do is back to Realm. Let's
back
hope
to Realm.
It's that. Yes.
Oh boy, 2 minutes. Here we go.
Yeah. So out. Yeah. No, where you were. Yeah, you were already there. So authentication. No.
Here.
Data access. Yeah. So allow users to log in anonymously. Edit and switch on and save it and deploy it.
And recompile?
Yes.
Okay.
And if it doesn't work, I want to continue. This is so much fun. And also because the fun part was also that we're going to create a static site with all these profiles, and we're going to deploy them to Netlify every time we make changes to the database with an incoming hook.
Okay, so now we've got, let's see, still doesn't like this refresh custom data, so I'm not 100% sure what's going on, but we will have to debug that at another time. However, we were able to do quite a bit here. So we were able to get in, oh no, I didn't finish deploying is why that didn't work. Dang it. Okay, this try is gonna work. Everybody get ready. Okay, we have exactly 1 minute, which means this is the moment of truth.
Let's see.
Do the thing. Okay. So if this one doesn't work, we were able to set up a database in MongoDB Atlas. We were able to load custom data. We got the CLI installed. If you have Homebrew, that's going to be a lot less painful than it was for me. We were then able to get the data in, create custom indexes, hook that up to GraphQL through Realm, and then set up some custom resolvers so that we have autocomplete and a whole bunch of really good stuff going on in there. This is pretty powerful stuff. Okay, so it still doesn't like this refresh custom data, which means that we probably missed a step. But
boo-hoo.
That's okay. What we will do is we will get this. The building the front end wasn't really the part of that we were excited about here. The part that we're excited about is getting the data accessible, and we've got that GraphQL database that we can use. So yeah, we will maybe come back and build the front end on top of this app that we built. And with that, we're out of time. So Natalia, any parting words before we call this one done?
Yes, thank you very much. And I hope that everyone goes to MongoDB University, learns more. There is a lot of powerful stuff they can use to build applications without having to know about the underlying infrastructure, about how things get really, all those mechanisms underneath. And thank you very much for inviting me. Looking forward to a follow-up. Yeah,
me too. All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Stay tuned, chat. We're going to go find somebody to raid. We will see you all next time.
Bye-bye.